In a strategic move, India and Australia have signed a comprehensive strategic partnership deal to join hands against China. While India and Australia are standing tough against China in these uncertain times, this remarkable move makes this deal a most important one. India's peace talk with China is still not yet going positive. This landmark deal will impact China hardly, as world's biggest democracies as the US, India, the UK, France, Canada and Australia are joining hands against China. The mutual logistics support agreement between India and Australia gives a pass to India's growing military power in the Indian Ocean region. In this deal, India can use Australia's airbases and naval bases to refuel, rearm, repair, dock, and ammunition their ships and air forces of India. India also already has a similar pact with United States, France, Indonesia, Singapore. On last week of Thursday, India's Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi and the Australian Prime Minister Mr. Scott Morrison had an important first-time virtual summit. In this summit, both sides agreed to increase their military interoperability through the defense exercises through their arrangement of concerning mutual logistics support. Australia also said that it will back India's candidacy for the permanent membership of reformed UN Security Council and India's candidature for the non-permanent seat at UNSC for the 2011-2022 terms. Australia also expressed its strong support for the India's membership for the Nuclear Surprise Group, which China strongly opposes India's inclusion. Although China is the biggest buyer of the Australia's export, there have been trade frictions between the two recently. Indian troops are locked in a standoff with the Chinese troops on their disputed border high in the Himalayas. This comes at the time when India is increasingly concerned by its huge trade deficit with China and the Beijing's rapidly expanding footprint in South Asia through its Belt and Road initiative. With this deal, India gets all access to the military bases in Australia, which means literally India gets a military base in Australia. India is also considering Australia to take part in the upcoming naval exercise with US, Japan and India in the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. In 2007, Australia withdrew from the naval exercises because of China's strong opposing. So what do you think of India's getting a military base in Australia? Can India benefit from these bases located in foreign soils?
Indian economy grew at a 5-quarter high of 7.2% in October-December 2017 period, reflecting overall recovery due to the good show with agriculture, manufacturing, constructions and certain services. The economy is expected to grow at 6.6% in the current fiscal ending March 31 as per the second advanced estimates of the Central Statistics Office or the CSO, compared to 7.1% in 2016-17. India might have regained the status of the world's fastest growing major economy in the October-December quarter of 2017, driven by the higher government spending and pickup in the manufacturing and the services. If the Indian government announces if there was 6.9% growth, that would top China's 6.8% annual pace for October-December 2017. The last time India had a faster growth rate was in the final 3 months of 2016. India is expected to improvement on its 6.3% growth in July-September of 2017 comes as it's the manufacturing and the service sector. After muted actively until 2017 of September, the signs of pickup in economic growth are starting to appear, said Aditya Nair, the principal economist of ICRA, the India arm of rating agencies Moody's. A strong gross domestic product reading could lift the domestic shares and boost the rupee, which has been Asia's second weakest currency this year, losing about 1.6% against the dollar. The GDP data could help the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, who is facing the criticism over the mounting bad loans of the state banks and $1.77 billion fraud of state lender Punjab National Bank, the biggest in the country's banking history. Last week, Prime Minister Modi told the industrialists that his government, which got twin balance sheet problem resulting from bad debt in the banks and many businesses, was determined to put the economy back on the higher growth trajectory. Modi is trying to accelerate the growth through higher rate of state spending, including $32.36 billion for recapitalization of the state banks, beset with mounting bad loans on nearly $148 billion. He has stepped up the spending on infrastructures and welfare projects to boost their growth ahead of national elections in 2019. This was widen the fiscal deficit for the current fiscal year ending in March 2017 to 2018 3.5% of the GDP instead of the earlier projected 3.2%. In November, the Moody's raised India's investment grade rating one notch, the rating agency first upgraded in nearly 14 years. The International Monetary Fund forecasts India's growth could reach 7.4% in 2018 and 7.8% in 2019, overtaking the rates projected for China of 6.5% and 6.4% respectively. But it doesn't mean that India will be getting jobs. It will be always jobless until it has to do something with the FDI and to deal with GST and the imported tax with hike. The world's seventh largest economy, which grew at more than 9% a year from 2005 to 2008, is still far from firing all the cylinders. The domestic demand and the private investments remain the weak. Urjit Patel, the governor of the Reserve Bank of India, earlier this month said that the economic recovery was at the nascent stage and called for the cautious approach. The central bank has kept its key rate unchanged since the 25 basis point cut in August 2017. India's investment rate fell across 30% of GDP in 2017 from a peak of 40% in 2011. The New Delhi is worried that the higher global crude oil price poses a major risk to its efforts for regained growth momentum, as this could hit the domestic investment and push up the consumer price inflations. So what do you think of India possessed to win back the fastest growing economic title from China, becoming the number one economic and the fastest growing economic in this year and the next year of 2019? Will this happen by this the government announces, or will these are just the marketing stunt pulled by the BJP ruled Modi government for just to make sure the upcoming elections to be won by 2000? The BRICS summit in South Africa later this month is likely to see a reviving up of India's rivalry with China for the influence in resource-rich Africa. Both Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India and the Chinese leader Xi Jinping will visit East Africa ahead of the event. The government is yet to announce this, but officials say that Prime Minister Modi of India is going to visit Rwanda and the neighbor Uganda on his way to South Africa for the BRICS summit from July 25th. While Uganda has seen visits by Indian PMs, this is a first stop Rwanda. Modi will land in Rwanda, capital Kigali, a day or two after the presidency. This will also be the first time that a Chinese president will visit Rwanda. A top source said that Modi's visit to Rwanda and Uganda was a sign that Africa remained the focus of India's outreach to the developing world, and had nothing to do with any cutthroat competition with China as often reported in the media. It's also significant that both Rwanda and Uganda are members of the Commonwealth, where India is an important player, said some officials. Adding to that the outreach enhances India's South-South leadership credential even as it engages with the bigger powers. Modi will hold talks with President Paul Kagame in Rwanda and President Yoweri Museveni in Uganda. Several agreements are expected to be signed with both countries. It is significant that both leaders have chosen to visit Rwanda, where China has emerged as an important partner in the reconstruction work. China's annual trade volume with Africa and its FDI in the continent are more than the double that of India. However, India in the past has had an edge over China in the East Africa, mainly because of its cultural and historical links with the region. The geographical proximity has also meant that countries in the east along the Indian Ocean coast account for more than half of India's exports to Africa. Both India and China are aware of the strategic significance of East Africa as an emerging market. India, though, is wary of the inflow of easy Chinese loans in the region, which has embraced the Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. In Uganda, the Reuters reported that recently the China alone had loaned it nearly $3 billion and was in talks for $2.3 billion more as a part of the BRI. The China operates a naval base in Djibouti on the Horn of Africa, reflecting its growing clout in the region. Its uninhabited smaller alarms the sales to the countries in Africa has made it an attractive partner for both the countries. So what do you think of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India and the President of China Xi Jinping going against East Africa in a competition or a race against building the trust between India and China in the East Africa for building blocks of military and infrastructures? Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.